Hi there! We know how nowadays it is not the keyword at the center of our content, but rather the search engine. Here's where SEOZoom tools come in handy to help us identify exactly the search intent and all the information that can be relevant to us to create better content. So let's take a look together at the Suggest Keywords for Article feature, which has within it functionalities that are already present in the Analyze Keyword part, but that are isolated here and made available for targeted analysis. We enter the keyword we want to analyze and start via the Select button. The Suggest Keywords for Article tool helps us to understand whether the keyword we have chosen is actually the main keyword of the search intent or not. The first piece of information we can gather will then be here in this box at the top, which identifies precisely with a green check mark that yes, this is the main keyword. In addition to the main keyword, we can see all the other similar secondary terms that still fall within the same search intent. So here we have the second valuable piece of information. If we want to create a text on the topic of apple pie and we create it accurately and thoroughly, we may in fact intercept 159 other keywords that have the same intent. But how does SEOZoom get this information? Well, the moment we enter the keyword, its SERP is scanned in real time, and all the URLs present within the top 10 are analyzed. By analyzing them, the tool will look for all the similarities, all their rankings, all the relevant terms that were actually used within the text. So, in the few seconds elapsing before the analysis report, this huge process will organize the information and help us understand how to best proceed. So here in the first table, we have exactly the list of all the keywords with the same search intent. For each keyword, we have the volume, the average CPC, their seasonality, and the two metrics of SERP affinity and in content. SERP affinity is a metric that tells us how much the keyword we are analyzing, in this case apple pie, has a SERP that is similar and in what percentage to a second term, let's say apple pie recipe. Here, apple pie and apple pie recipe have a SERP affinity of about 60%. So at least 6 out of 10 results are the same. Because of this, we can see that it might be strategic to focus on the term we are analyzing, so to embrace in a broader and more detailed way all the keywords with the same search intent. The in-content metric shows us in what percentages the keywords we are analyzing are present within the text of our top 10 competitors. We could also choose to activate this switch on top of the tab to only look at the keywords that are actually present within the competitor text. So, to basically remove from the list the keywords with a 0 EC% and be able to only focus our attention on the keywords that have been used the most by the majority of our competitors. For each row, there is also a contextual menu that allows us to further deepen our analysis. We can then access the last SERP, the full tool of Analyze Keywords, we can look at similar keywords or directly go and write the article, either from here or by clicking on Write Article at the top. In the second table, Main Topics, we can instead focus on what are the relevant terms that were encountered in most of the texts analyzed within the top 10. So, from here, we can see that if we want to address the topic of apple pie, we should talk about pie, apples, best recipes, and so on. By clicking on each one of them, in the side box at their right, we can see the list of all the keywords that can be grouped under the term we are analyzing. This table could help us manage the paragraphs in our content and figure out how to focus and organize our keywords to make a text that is as in-depth and useful as possible for our users. Accessing the last tab, Secondary Topics, we can look at a number of terms covering related topics, which could be useful for an in-depth article. Here, in this case, relevant to the topic of apple pie could be apple pie fillings or the Dutch apple pie. We can then also see the search volume of the specific keyword, how many correlated keywords are in turn included in the intent of the term, and already have an idea of the potential traffic of the article. The potential of the article, here on top we can see the potential of the article with respect to the main topic of apple pie, is an important piece of information, since having an idea of the potential traffic we could gain, should we bring all the keywords ranking first on Google, can help us in our assessments and evaluation, such as choosing should we, for example, be in doubt between 2 or more keywords to use. But let's go back to our first tab, so to see another very important piece of data. The users frequently asked questions about the topic. This table actually presents the information that we can find on Google in the People Also Asked panels, which can then help us again to understand how to structure the content, how to organize the paragraphs, how to do a certain type of in-depth study, such as are Macintosh apples good for apple pie, and so on. At this point, you might ask yourself, do one always have to use a main keyword to create content, or are there other cases? It is a very interesting question, and somehow the tool, if we let the data here guide us, invites us to use main keywords, since they might be more strategic. They somehow allows us to blend topics and avoid cannibalization issues. However, in some cases, like if we don't have the authority and strength to deal with main keywords that might have very strong competitors, for instance, we need to remember that also focusing on a more specific long-tail keyword might actually be an interesting option. If we think that apple pie and apple pie recipe have a 60% SERP affinity, it is also certainly true that the remaining 30% is made of very different results. So let's always try to look at the data in its complexity. All in all, our number one tip is to use suggest keywords for article whenever you need to understand how to manage the search intent, what the frequently asked questions are, or how to use secondary topics in order to structure follow-up content with new ideas. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.